FESIG, the Free Energy Special Interest Group, where science meets spirituality in the quest for truth and knowledge to free humanity and transform this planet into a paradise.
Hi everyone, hi, this is Crystal. It's so good to see you all here today. Today is the 3rd of April, and we are just about to begin the first speaker's talk on the first session of our 123rd meeting. So I'm going to start sharing screen now so you can see our agenda. Okay, the FESIG is the Free Energy Special Interest Group, and we have live attendance, the regulars, and our speakers, of course. We start promptly, usually at 6:30 p.m. British Summer Time, which is 10:30 a.m. PDT. And we have this platform where everyone gathers together here listening to some of the most prolific speakers and some of the most brilliant information, intel, and sharing of technology secrets and development. So we all learn together as a group, and why not? I mean, what have we got to lose to learn from the best? And then we take the best and throw the rest. I mean, there had been some people who say, oh, why did you invite this and that to come and speak? He or she's not good and all that, but it doesn't matter. I mean, everyone has something, some gems that we can take from and learn from. As I said, always say, take the best and throw the rest. No judgment. So today we have our beloved speaker, Jessica Marrocco, coming back again to, as we had promised, to tell us more about what she had presented in our 120th meeting, 2 meetings ago. And also she is promising me that she'll come back to talk about the numbers group and the Council of 5, more elaboration there. So Jessica is number 12, 6th Division ACIO. I'll read her bio in a minute, okay? So, well, some of you who have been following our channels already know of her. And she is all ready to present now. And we have the second speaker, Dr. John Scott Perez, also a returning speaker. He will tell us more about the gene splicing and the designer genes and all that he's been doing, being the first scientist in the world to have replicated some chromosomes. It's going to be a very fascinating subject. If he turns up, I don't know, because I hadn't had much communication with him lately, but he's promised us that he's coming back, and I've invited him officially. So if you want to write to me, write to Crystal at truevisionpeace.com. And our website is https now. It's a secure server. Okay, truevisionpeace.com/FESIG.html. And we got 3 channels that you need to subscribe to, because there are things that are sensitive that we can't publish on YouTube. We publish on BitChute. Okay, and sometimes Odyssey just mirrors YouTube, you know that. And join us live to interact with our members, so you can form study groups, FESIG_group. Okay, that's our Telegram channel. Then you can actually interact with each other, and it's so much fun, you know, when you got a group of people studying together and making new friends. Okay, thank you so much for bearing with me on the introduction. So once a month we have our meeting. We have 2 speakers usually, and sometimes we do have a 3rd session, depending on what subject is going to be presented and by whom. Okay, right. I'm going to introduce Jessica Arael Marrocco. She is a very special being here on this planet. She was born in Boston area. She was highly targeted and selected to be used in the programs from birth through her entire childhood, because she was quickly identified by the ACIO. ACIO is, of course, the Alien Contact Intelligence Organization, of having a soul signature of unknown off-world origins. That's why I said she's special. Early on, she displayed an exceptional keen psychic perception that exceeded most other humans. Due to her enigmatic origins, she was placed in the numbers group as number 12. At the age of 5, Jessica was introduced to the ACIO and Intergalactic Council, and then made contact with Peter the Insider. I'm sure you've heard of Peter the Insider. whom James of Super Soldier Talk introduced as well earlier on in 2016, where she began to uncover her involvement within the secret space programs. Right, as an exceptional sidekick of ET origins, Jessica was used heavily in the programs by organizations such as the MCC, which is the Mars Colony Corporation, Kruger Mercenary Corporation, the Labyrinth Group, and also worked as a galactic liaison communicating with the Council of Five. Jessica is also active as an asset within the ACIO 6th Division Cicada 3301, where she continues to decipher data from intergalactic activity and their effects on our planet. The numbers group that I have urged her to talk about here in this session are comprised of individuals with abilities who are closely observed to identify if they are benevolent or nefarious for this reality. Jessica is an SSP and MyLab experiencer who has been deeply involved in various super soldier projects and special access programs as a psychic and intuitive specialist. Due to being a high-valued asset, Jessica was also abducted and forced into experimentation with the Murkoff MyLab facility at the age of 6 as part of Project Walrider. Jessica, we need you to talk about Project Walrider as well. And she worked closely with Monarch Umbrella Refugee Group. Today, Jessica remains active as a psychic, interdimensional seer, Akashic record reader, radio host, podcaster, and owner of Andron ET Talks Radio. She does regular shows with Peter the Insider on her YouTube channel, discussing disclosure, planetary, and galactic events impacting the world. And if you want to read more about Jessica, please hover your mouse over her name on our website, because that's what I usually do when I always do that, okay, without fail. When we have speakers speaking at FESIG, I do link their websites to their names or to their pictures or whatever that is there. You always find links there to the speaker to learn more about them and to contact them, okay? All right, thank you so much. Over to you, Jessica. Thank you for coming back again. Namaste, sister.
Thank you, Crystal. It's very nice to see you as usual. And thank you so much for everyone there that I know you have, your dream work, teamwork here, and everybody's contributing and helping to make this happen. And you've been around for quite a while, sharing very critical information for people. So that's what's important. And everyone kind of doing their work in their own little corners of the world to kind of at some point collaborate and bring forward more and more information that assists humanity. So thank you for all of your work. I appreciate it as well.
And we thank you for your work too. Without you and Peter, we wouldn't be having disclosure so much. Thank you.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about Peter. Now, Peter is a very, very vital person in this series of explanations. When I went through so many different things that were unexplainable, I was surrounded by psychics at some point because I started going out publicly and doing mediumship, psychic fairs and all that. And then I realized there were things that people just didn't experience. I thought it was common because I didn't really talk about it as a child. I didn't discuss what exactly was happening. I did have an experience at the age of 5 where I was outside of my home, standing in the middle of the night outside, looking up above my house, seeing a spacecraft and wondering why no one was out there with me. I have a full recall of it. I remember the spacecraft. And that was a point of one of the abduction events. And each person that has gone through many of these different things find that it's difficult. What's important about Peter and what made me believe Peter early on when a lot of people were not really sure, particularly because of the language challenge, he has a heavy accent. He also talks in slang. He has his little, isms, like, oh my God, like you said, exaggerated in terminology that is very specific, which also in some ways made some people think that he was not fully credible. At first, I thought, well, he's animated. He's very, very interesting. We're talking, but aside from that, he knew exactly what I had gone through. And he was able to explain that I literally had people showing up in my space in physical form, not just an imaginary type of friend. I know some people, you can see things too, see through the veil and see other types of, whether it's a spirit or whether it's an ET or some other type of activity or other realities or remote view. I'm not even talking about that. I'm saying full on, close encounter of the fifth kind, it's almost like that they're right there. They show up physically in my space. They would leave without any explanation at all. No, you wouldn't hear a door close. You wouldn't see a car leave. Suddenly that person is no longer in the space anymore. Literally showing up and then gone. No explanation for it. That actually happened to me around the age of 7 or 8. And there was a woman that showed up in my house. I was just listening to music as a child. My older brothers were hippies, so I was listening to just the regular record player, and suddenly this woman walked in. I had never seen her before. She had hair to the shoulders, very curly. She had very large eyes and very blue eyes. And I remember looking at her saying, I don't know who this is, it kind of startled me because she seemed very anxious. And she reached out and she said, "Do you remember me?" And I said, "No." And I'm apprehensive. And she says, "Give me your hand." And I said, "No." And I didn't want anyone to come near me, because especially I didn't recognize her. And then she seemed upset and she stormed out of the house, or so I thought. But I never heard a door close. I ran into the kitchen thinking that my mother was gonna say that I was rude to one of her friends. She didn't know what I was talking about. And I remember going back to the front of the house, looking through the windows, looking for a car, looking for something, disappeared completely. Peter explained to me that was number 15.
Oh, wow.
So
And
now
that's
everyone's saying,
important.
yes, yeah, yes, but no. Yes, but no. Let me explain.
Mhm.
Number 15 is not human.
Oh,
Number 15 doesn't have a gender.
wow.
Okay, so we've been trying to say this all along. People keep on saying we're trying to change the story. No, I mean, I literally had this encounter. And the thing about number 15 is the ACIO had a hard time with number 15 because number 15 integrated into the Labyrinth Group.
Mhm.
And then started to reveal information and share information that was not supposed to go out to the public at that time. But under the category of the numbers group. So why did number 15 come to me? Because the numbers, the other groups, the other ones that are part of the numbers group visit people from the numbers group.
Mhm.
So let me explain a little bit about the numbers group. When, say I was incarnated, they saw at birth, and in the records that Peter said, according to the ACIO, there was information regarding the date of birth and location of an unidentified being. So if a soul comes in, the soul is usually a repeat soul, a soul that has been here multiple times, and they pretty much know where that soul is.
Mhm.
Are they surveying that? No. I mean, it's just a signature. I can personally interact with someone and start seeing where their soul came from and go back in time. That was ability that really opened up around the age of 30 for me. So I can tell where the soul has, because each one of us carries all that information about our souls, right? So you have your own history, your own Akashic records. People say, well, the Akashic records is getting destroyed, or they're underneath the pyramid or the Sphinx. Well, there's world history of the planet, yes, that is stored maybe somewhere else. But each individual, the soul, is connected with everything that they've ever experienced. So when people say, well, someone dies and their whole life goes before them, it's because it's recorded, but a divine recording, not the type of recording that we would identify as, oh, someone pulled out a camera. This has been going on for thousands of years. Your soul is so incredible, and the higher powers are so amazing that every single piece of the divine, which is us, is recorded as the part of this greater whole, which is actually amazing. It's very beautiful. Also, it helps that we're protected, because it's almost like a mother knows where all their children are, you know. That's also very important. And people think that one person's greater than the other. It's not true. Every single individual is equal in value. And so when I talk about my ET connection, I never think that I'm above or below anything. I just feel that I am, you know, and that's the way we all should see things. So getting back to the numbers group, according to the ACIO, there are 300. There are 300 that are here from the ACIO, from the numbers group. These are entities or aliens that do not have an identification that the ACIO knows about. I'm not saying that the divine powers know about, but the ACIO does not have a record. So in the year that I was born, 1964, they put in an underscore, like, keep an eye on this one. And also I had some kind of activity going on in my brain, which probably would have gave me a much higher IQ than I have at this time. And they, I'm not saying the ACIO, but someone had done some kind of surgery and diminished that. And I recognized that early on in my childhood, that I was looking at calculations in the area of math. And I remember my father asking me a question, and I knew that I knew how to calculate that very easily, and it was gone. It was like it was wiped out of my brain. So that was some of the casualties of being from the numbers group, is that we were recognized, but at the same time targeted, because others wanted to figure out what was going on. And so we have some very, very advanced beings. These are the corporations that we discuss. Corporations are doing greater experimentations on humanity. Maybe I should do a shared screen and I can start showing some of these things so people have a reference point to look at. Let me go over to okay, so this is the ACIO official website in case anyone wanted to come here to review some of our information. There's information about Peter the Insider. Here's a history. I recommend that people listen to this and see that the ACIO is not partial towards any particular nation or group or culture or nationality. It's universally observing and connecting and watching over everyone, and everyone is of equal importance. We usually have a policy of non-involvement, and will not interfere with anything unless there is permission and answer to the Intergalactic Council. So some people say, well, why don't you do something about it? I even asked Peter, why can't we do something about it? Some cases they do, in which Peter will go on many missions. Here is the ACIO official information about the numbers group. The numbers group is a category created by the ACIO, so it helps describe entities and individuals of advanced ET origin with a special agenda and a mission. The group generally consists of very advanced entities from different star systems and was formed by the Intergalactic Council approximately 36 million years ago. Each member of the numbers group is highly enigmatic in nature, but at least known to be assigned with the mission to follow through with a particular agenda set by the Intergalactic Council. Due to their special gifts and abilities, individuals classified as being a part of the numbers group are closely monitored by the ACIO to determine if they are a threat to the planet and misuse their abilities. The numbers group is currently known to cooperate not only with the Council of Five, but all of the intergalactic councils and groups. One of the specialties of the members is that all of them can multi-locate at once as entities or share the collective consciousness within the group. The synergy allows the group to cooperate and respond to different parts of the agenda in greater unison to operate more efficiently. So this is, kind of an idea of, this is the baseline of the numbers group. There are variations depending on which individual is part of the numbers group. Some of them can be very nefarious and can cause a lot of problems, a great deal of problems, as a matter of fact. And we've had those discussions before. Some of them are just like into things, kind of like number 15. I wouldn't call number 15 really nefarious, but clearly having its own agenda. I won't say he or she because it's its own agenda, and wanting to present certain types of information or to have a specific bias or way that they want people to look at things. And there are others that are heavily military-like. There was another one that I had interacted with, which we've been talking about recently, called Pandora. And she looks like she's from South America. And she has some incredible abilities, also a very advanced soldier. And Peter has talked about. The downside of the numbers group is that the other numbers, other entities from the numbers group can be competitive, can have certain agendas, and if they don't like what someone's doing, they may try to interfere with them. So there's some infighting that probably occurs. And I've had some conflicts in some ways because of it. So not only am I dealing with the corporations, but also, just those that are also in the same category. And many of them know who each other are, but especially since I've gone very public, it makes it easier. But there is some kind of interconnectivity because of the group being identified through the ACIO. So as I said, there's to this date that I'm aware of, there's about 300 in total. And of course, Peter would have to correct any information if I'm off in any way. But that was the last information that I had. Is it good to be a part of the numbers group? I think that you're observed more, you're scrutinized more. I think things are harder. In that sense, it's harder to be anonymous and just kind of fade into the background somewhere. I think that you'll always, I can talk about for hours all the strange people that have approached me since I was young. And I was born in a strategic location. I'm sure that that was intentional as well. I was born very close to Harvard Square or the Harvard University and MIT. And so I'm sure that there was, a lot of intention with what was going on there. I know that there are also people that are, born near military bases. They too can be very targeted, but that's a different issue. Now let's talk about, here's the Labyrinth Group. A lot of people have questions about the Labyrinth Group. It is a very, very old organization, 32 million years old. And you'd say, wow, that's that doesn't sound credible, but it is. A lot of these organizations are very, very old, including the ACIO. They took a large part in managing diplomatic resolutions and initiating peace acts after various space wars and intergalactic conflicts. They also took on an active role in assisting Earth civilizations as it ran into various challenges and struggles in dealing with other ET groups. Despite the group being very close to the Intergalactic Council, they do not follow their intentions all the time, since at times they can appear to have a detached interest in affairs. This can actually be beneficial in that this is, on some occasions, helps avoid direct conflict with other civilizations. The Labyrinth Group is currently known to have a very positive relationship with the Council of Five and charged with specific missions of acting as galactic mediators with the intention of promoting universal peace. So we see our world as, you know, a microcosm of all different cultures, nationalities, religions, races, and we're a reflection of the galactic, who are also overseeing specific groups and have a personal involvement in various groups. So there are these ET races that are watching over specific cultures and making sure that they're well. And at times, just like the wars, the infighting that are happening between the different cultures that we see here on Earth, there's that type of infighting that's going on above and away. Although we do have, you know, if there was such a foe, you know, one that is actually causing a lot of problems is this group called the 12D Pleiadians, and as opposed to the 15, which is a positive group, the 12D, they had a major battle in the Pleiades, and they have brought much of their battles here. They also are involved in depopulation, which you can see very present in what's going on over in Switzerland and some of their agendas for the climate change and depopulation and all of that. That's a reflection of what's going on with the 12D Pleiadians. I bring them up because they too had integrated into the Labyrinth Group and have interfered with peaceful interactions, not only on the planet, but in a galactic experience. And so we're trying to reveal, inform, and present information for people to assess, because I think there can be, humanity has a role to play in this, and that is their intention in agreement to certain agendas. We are not as vulnerable as people think, and I encourage, and Peter also encourages, that people use their intentions in a positive way toward humanity, that we don't have to consent or agree to agendas that are harmful. You asked about Walrider. I'm going to scroll up here. We have, in this section right here, worldwide military corporations. How did these corporations begin? Is some of them extremely old as well? So if they began a very long time ago, each one of them having their own specific agenda. What is this agenda? It varies from group to group. You see Kruger, their timeline is around 1815. Cyberlife, 1650. Shoreline, 5,000 years old. Trinity, 1881. Delphi, 1918. Typhon, I think it's more recent. Monarch, 6,000 years old. This one's causing us a lot of problems. And a lot of things come back to this corporation in particular. Their currently they have the specific goal to create ultimate slave system to control and dominate humanity. A lot of this is interchangeable with the agendas of the 12D Pleiadian. The method of choice is achieving this by means of space-time manipulation to shift aspects of our timeline and history as they see fit. We are not going into the full detail, the mechanics of their technology here. But for anyone familiar with technology behind the Montauk project, you can imagine that Monarch has access to technologies that are leaps and bounds beyond this. The ACIO has confirmed that Monarch has used their space-time technology to achieve certain objectives. However, as of the date of this writing, Monarch's primary agenda of dominating humanity and the planet has been disarmed and neutralized, to which we are happy to report. Well, they had some kind of control over it, and then they came back again. So we've had some problems with them. Mobius had put an overlay or a simulation overlay over our natural world, which was also causing some major problems. So we can get more into them at another conversation due to time constrictions that we have today. Murkoff. So we were talking about Walrider. Let's go over Walrider. Murkoff was founded in 1923 as the youngest company in the list by Alexander Murkoff, or aka Sasha. Murkoff was a highly eccentric Soviet psychiatric medical doctor, largely believed to be the craziest and most extreme doctor to have ever existed. Much of the work coming out of the Murkoff group involved largely brutal, inhumane, and sadistic types of experimentation on MyLab abductees and super soldiers, and the majority of what Murkoff has involved in is what most would consider madness. However, in the process of all this, he was able to create Project Walrider. Here, Murkoff was able to perfect the process in which he could capture and extract an individual's soul essence. So let's look at that. In the beginning, I talked about how we have a connection to the divine, the greater power of existence, that which created all things, that the unseen, right? We see the very most valuable thing that we have is our soul. Our soul is what our signature, our soul is our history of everything we've ever done. They figured out a way to extract that, the soul essence, to capture it and extract it.
Wow.
So think about the possibilities there. We're looking at cloning. We're looking at levels of abuse. We're looking at something, maybe a very bad ET, using your identity. It's a very, very tricky, very, very complex, and very nasty thing to do to a soul. By doing this, he would then create a collective consciousness or a hive mind type astral being. So now we have the souls being misused, the essence of the soul, the signature of an individual, being pulled into a hive mind where they lose control. Now, this is, I've worked with clients, I've worked with people where they say, I don't know what's going on. I felt like I was being forced into something. And we hear about that. We hear about that with shooters, people that are being activated to do certain things. And it's not just levels of MK Ultra, but it can be something even deeper like this. In some cases, he would take the isolated soul essence and sell, and then now look at this, and then he sells it off to different parties so that the individual's abilities, their talents are connected to that soul essence, can be harvested and used by other parties. So that nefarious or negative ETs or corporations, those that maybe are hybrid, maybe those that are, human, but very advanced and have knowledge, maybe they're coming from our future. They're literally taking other people's soul essence and then using it. You see situations where there's an android. They put that soul essence inside the android. I mean, this is not far-fetched. I mean, people are already discussing this. And then you have something very, very scary where not only they're using your identity, but it makes the android appear human, very human. The emotions, the ideas, This is where, the sentience of AI, the stuff that Elon Musk is talking about, all of this is extremely important. Peter has tried to explain to us a lot about what's been going on. To the ACIO's knowledge, this entity known as Walrider is still active to this day somewhere within the solar system's energetic field. During this time, many top secret mental institutions were built across the North America to help host Project Walrider and inhumane experimentations. Murkoff was also well known for collaborating closely with Karl Rudolph, Wilhelm Vernetsky, and who were biological brothers and cousins to the famous Joseph Mengele, a Nazi SS officer known as the Angel of Death. Both of the Murkoff Corporation and Walrider were prominently featured in the video game Outlast 2. So you say, let's just cover this really quick. Video games are their way of showing what they're doing. Their soft disclosure. They're bragging about what they're doing. I have hours and hours of shows, discussions, where we can actually see people. Peter would bring up something, we would find a movie or a video game that's literally revealing this information. He wouldn't even know about the movie or the show at times. Sometimes he does, but not always. And, we have, Peter said that Murkoff was a scientist in the Soviet Union. They kicked him out. He was so bad. And you can find information related to what's going on in Russia and the US that shows that there has been experimentation, especially to make the greatest and the best soldiers. The Germans called it like the Übermenschen, right? The elite, the best. They're trying to, through genetics, find these incredible soldiers to use them for other agendas. They're not talking about necessarily boots on the ground here, just warriors here. They're talking about space warriors, warriors that can go interdimensionally, warriors that have like extraordinary abilities. These are the ones that we are talking about, some of them that are in other realities, which for some people this is hard to wrap your head around, but we are light years ahead of what people are talking about now, what you see now if you go to research. So this is a very big problem. How do I fit in? They brought me in when I was around 5 or 6. I can literally see, I said to Peter, I see myself in a lab as a little girl bouncing a little red ball, because I remember I had that little ball that I used to bounce all the time, and it was from when I played jacks. I don't know if you're familiar with jacks, Crystal. It's
No.
if you look it up, it's just like a little game where you have these little, you bounce the ball, you pick up a piece, and then you have to pick up the piece and then catch the ball at the same time. It was just a little fun. Yeah, it was a fun game we did when we were kids.
Oh, right.
So it was, what was that?
You played that when you were kids in the US, in America, but not where I came from, South Asia. We don't do that.
Okay. I didn't know. I thought I'd throw that out there, and I wasn't sure how big, something like that came. I mean, I played Chinese jump rope when I was a kid.
Wow.
But America's a melting pot of everything, so we were exposed to a lot of different things. So they caught me. I saw myself in my lab, and then these almost, they look like someone from an insane asylum all sitting around me. And what Peter said, that they put me in the core of the Walrider and were using my abilities or using my essence to fuel this. So let's talk about what is the Walrider.
Mm-hmm.
It's he almost looks like an apparition. It's a very large, extremely strong, dark looking shadow being, right? in the series, TV series Lost, there's this individual, this person that died, but because of the electromagnetic field, the alteration of the atmosphere, he could manifest and he could literally throw people or harm them or kill them if he wanted to. So it's almost like an interdimensional being that goes, you know, and has incredible power. And they put me next to that as a little girl, which doesn't make any sense to me at all, but which puts me in the core of where a lot of the super soldiers are. So they don't have me as, they don't talk about me being the super soldier, but almost like the core of it, part of the core of it. So that's what I have for Project Walrider and Murkoff. Depending on how much time we have, I can go into, we have a little bit more that I said I was going to bring in, the targeted individual, or the program that they call TIRAP.
Please do continue, Jessica, because our second speaker is not here yet. As I was saying earlier, he hadn't responded to me lately, so I don't know if he's going to make it at all. So you carry on, okay? And if any of us see him, please alert us. Okay, you carry on, Jessica.
Okay. Well, do you think that maybe up to this point, before I go off of the direct ACIO corporation, a lot of this is related to my personal experience. Did you want to ask any questions regarding what I've said up to this point?
Oh, certainly. I've got lots of questions, and so have our regulars here. I actually wanted to know about the, you know, the Council of Five, right? You got that diagram. Can you share screen, or should I share screen on the Council of Five with the, different races? Yeah, the 5 races. You got that? That I used that. Yeah, I used that picture to when I did announcements for you to speak. Yeah, that is really something, isn't it? The representatives of the various civilizations, the 5 of them, and they form a court, right? The galactic court. And so in this court, apparently, I was listening to Penny Bradley, because Penny Bradley has her altar as a bailiff in that particular court, the Council of Five court. And apparently, the Council of Five, as you said in your presentation earlier, that they are overseeing the ET groups who come to this planet and how they are behaving, and they set up a court to prosecute those who are out of order because they're violating some universal laws. So they were caught. So Penny was recounting her experience as an alter when it was 2018, which wasn't so long ago, before the COVID hits the planet. She was there as a bailiff and as an alter. And as you were saying, they can take your soul essence and put into a clone or something. So her present body here is like in hospital or in animator or something, and this consciousness of hers is in that bailiff's body, acting in the court and very active. So apparently Baphomet is supposed to be the boss of the planet, isn't it? The Baphomet, the satanic figure in the...
No, I'm afraid you get the information. She doesn't have the accurate information.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Since we started off, Peter did speak with Penny Bradley and conveyed her information. She didn't agree and decided to say something else about her experience. And so you see, she's never been on our show because she tries to not only work independently, but usurp our information and try to redefine it. So anything that you hear from her related to us is, she never worked with us. She's not a part of anything that we do. And she's definitely not a part of the Council of Five. Actually, some other things that we're concerned about regarding But I won't do it on your show. We will do that separately.
Sorry. Yeah, I thought you were working together because she's using the
No.
same picture here, the Council of
Right,
Five.
right.
Yeah.
She's even been at events acting as if she represents us, and we kept on saying, stop doing that, please.
All right.
Because not only she is trying to redefine
Mhm.
Peter's original information. I
Mhm.
know there's some emotional, psychological issues going on there, and so we try to be careful about it.
Mhm.
But you know, it's what happens is it prevents us from presenting our information accurately when people jump in and start saying that they're connected to something when they're not. The Council of Five is a very powerful group.
Mhm.
If you want to say that you're one of them, you may be sorry that you said that at some point, because they are very, very powerful. And
I'm
they will
just checking with you. I'm just checking with you because it's like, wow. I mean, did she say that they prosecuted Baphomet at the Council of Five court? Apparently, she was saying that the head was just chopped off because she was found guilty of. I mean, he was found guilty of eating children, and children. There's a law there. It says, well, correct this if it's wrong. Okay, there's a law there that says in the court, the Council of Five, that if we give consent without saying no, that means it's okay. So if we say no, then it's not okay. So they're prosecuted. So in the case that she was recounting, that Baphomet was found guilty because the children were kicking and screaming when they were eaten by the Satanis for adrenochrome, okay, drain of the blood. So that means they said no because they couldn't say a word, right? They're babies, the children. So she was found guilty. He was found guilty, Baphomet, and then she was prosecuted and her head got chopped off. This was in 2018. How far through is that, Jessica?
It's not true. I mean, ideally, what she was saying would emotionally affect people, and yeah, I mean, the Baphomet is one of those ancient beings that are doing some very destructive things, and it's actually people that give it power. So those that want power, they make a deal with this entity, just like the false gods, the Moloch, Baal. You know, or when I say false gods, I mean that they actually do exist. These are entities. So if a person aligns with it and they want it to be resolved, you know, or they want to worship it for power, you know, and they do the whole adrenochrome thing. That's what, you know, we're working with some of the celebrities and those that are in power, politicians and so forth. However, if that actually happened, so let's think about that. If the head got cut off and it wasn't existing anymore, we've had a greater influx of Satanism, especially in the school system. So it's actually increased rather than gone down. So just on that alone shows you that it doesn't operate like that. It sounds very heroic. And I'm not saying that some people can't do certain things. I've seen people are able to cut certain beings off from us, but I think a lot of what happens on the earth is through consent or through interest. If people want power, there will always be an entity there to satisfy that. Bohemian Grove still exists.
Oh no.
We don't want it to exist. We don't agree with it. We could be vocal about it. But there's that element that is in lower consciousness that wants the rewards of power, fame, and money, you know. So there's elements of free will here, even as nefarious as that is, and we want to protect all of our children. And we are literally in a battle right now. But did that happen? No. No, that didn't happen. A lot of what she said did not happen. And I personally am frustrated that she's been using our content to wield her stories. She can do that without us, but she hasn't for some reason. And I would like to see the Baphomet gone, but the Baphomet is a creature, is like a hybrid type of being that has been worshipped. The worship is the problem. People have been worshiping it. Are the Council of Five the judges? Not necessarily. They're the non-observer, they're the active observers. They don't always step in. What they have stepped in that I do know about is with any kind of nuclear problems. We've had serious atmospheric issues that they have gone in and corrected for us without anyone knowing about it. They will probably create a bubble of some sort when there's wars going on to make sure that it doesn't go too far. But you can see that there's still innocent people, children, a lot of people that are getting hurt on the planet. And so we have limited, we're not going to act like we're the superheroes and we're correcting and fixing everything. I know some people want someone like that, but we all, as a collective, this is the problem. Everyone's looking for a hero or a savior. Everyone has an involvement. Everyone has an opinion. And so those that are in the community and they want to see justice and they want to see children protected have to use their own will, their choice, and want to see this whole all manifest and come to fruition. The Baphomet doesn't exist if no one worships it. That's what brings it into power. Humanity makes these things powerful. They do have some abilities. So do some of the people in the numbers group. They have abilities. They can multi-locate. They can manifest, show up in different places. They can do some form of magic that makes them look like a god. That's it. That's not what it's all about. It's what we need to learn at this juncture right now is that we are manifesting some of these realities, and that through the mind control, manipulation, or people looking for a savior is what's has been getting us in trouble for a long time. And I don't know whether you like to hear this or not, but I have to be honest, and I can't say that they're not, the Council Five's not sitting there holding the gavel. Humanity has gone through thousands and thousands of years, and we're not the first civilization. There's been others. And they have to they're teaching, but allowing humanity, they have to grow. We have to be the ones that ascend. We have to be the ones that understand that certain things are right or wrong. Those that are choosing to do bad, they're continuing to choose, they continue to go after ego and power, will at some point be left behind. They just won't be able to evolve. Their body will be too dense, and they won't ever be able to go to that next level.
But
And
there,
so
there's too much of an unfair play here on this playground. There's
it
too many
had,
relations, and it's sad for us Darcys to keep watching and trying our level best to do whatever we can to turn the tables around and to wake up the masses. And yet the councils are not doing much to tip the scales.
they are. They are. We should have been destroyed a couple times. There has been interventions that people, whether they believe or not, there has been interventions here. There's we're in a battle. We're in a war. Peter has brought our team into this 88-year mission. There was a reason for that. Every time I talk to Peter, he's off on another mission. And what he does is he'll go into another reality and see where we're headed.
So Peter is older than 88. He's on an 88-year mission.
We were all in the 88-year mission, the whole team.
Because there's always the 20-year and back, 20-year and back in the SSP, right? So I guess
Right.
like Randy Kremer was saying, he's 20 and back, 20 and back 3 times. James.
If we go to the associates,
yeah,
you know,
Zender, who spoke here before.
Anthony Zender, we have Michael, who's from Korea. His family's from Korea. Olaf from Norway.
Yeah.
Tyson, or some people know him as Taino from Galactic Talk. Jerome from Canada. We were all involved. And not only that, they killed Peter. We had to bring him back.
Wow.
Because we still need Peter's assistance. He's the one that goes in the front lines. We have Navy John.
You mean they killed Peter and you guys brought him back, resurrected him with the advanced techs?
We didn't resurrect him. We did a time travel and brought him back, but there were some anomalies that we were concerned about.
Before he got killed?
No, after he got killed. We were very, very, very concerned. And so we had to work together as a team to retrieve him, which we did.
Right.
So,
yeah, I understand. Jessica, if you stop sharing screen, I would like to share as well, because you were talking about the Labyrinth Group, right? Labyrinth Group was set up. Apparently, it was said, I don't know what's true or not, that it was A.R. Borden, number 15, who was director of the Labyrinth Group and who started it. And that was when a lot of advanced technologies were, well, there's a transfer of technology, that's AR, right? And then, oops, sorry.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, that's him, AR. And about AR, okay. And yeah, very quickly, again, freeze frame and read it later, viewers, okay. So actually, when I did my research many years ago, like decades ago, we have the Animus. I read this artificial intelligence and blank slate technology. The blank slate technology was developed by the Labyrinth Group, right? And that's when somebody stumbled upon the Wingmakers, the ancient Aero project. It was brought to their attention, the Labyrinth Group, and that's when AR got involved. And then LERM, LERM, is also one of the advanced technologies developed by the Labyrinth Group that could enhance intelligence, like, how many, 10, 20 times more intelligent than the normal intelligence. That's why AR number 15 was known as the most intelligent human being on the planet. And whenever the ETs are coming to visit the planet, they will contact him, his first contact. So that was what was written when we were researching much, much earlier on, before we come across your group, Jessica. So what do you say about all this information from the past?
Okay. So I don't know if you remember when I was doing the presentation about the numbers group, how number 15 infiltrated the Labyrinth Group. So that, if you want to call it AR burden, we're saying it's a non-gendered ET that moved through this body, moved through another body that was a female, probably others as well. Let's get back to
what came as well when he was younger.
Yeah, but he is not. He is a vessel that it moved through as one. So let's go back to the top and I'll explain something to you that's really, really important.
Yeah.
Because we've had a lot of people try to correct our information, and I'm not saying that you're doing that at all. But this information, remember what I said, number 15.
No, I'm not trying to correct. I'm just researching.
No, I know that.
No, yeah. What's
yeah,
right?
No, I'm not saying you, but others have tried to correct us, or they're referring back to this content. And I'll explain to you, because we've been doing some videos regarding this very topic, because I was wondering for a while, where are people getting this information? And then I realized that Wes Penre had presented his information. Some of it's even back as far as 1998. I had a discussion with Peter regarding Wes's information. And Peter said that Wes was actually, they have it down that he was from Sweden, and that he was actually from Florida. He was military asset who was also a double agent with Russia. And he put out a narrative to provide this information, and a lot of it is incorrect. It's not like extremely incorrect, but just enough that it throws everyone off. And so, and I can provide you with videos where Peter described what exactly happened. Wes Penre was an actual soldier, very powerful soldier, very good at what he did, but also there was a bias on his content. It wasn't neutral, and and on top of it, he never worked for the ACIO. So Peter had met him personally. And maybe Peter is an elite soldier. He interacted with Wes, but Wes was never a representative of the ACIO. Therefore, the information is not accurate.
He have a few communications with me as well. We did write each other shortly. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, and
wow.
I'm not really sure if that person that's on Facebook is actually the original.
He's
But
not the original, the one on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm questioning that myself.
Mhm.
Yeah. So because that's the way that some of the answers are, it didn't feel like that this individual was pretty savvy. He wrote quite a bit. And
Yeah.
I'll say it like this, I'll say it's almost like it's like a white lie, or there's a base element of truth in it, and there's some of it that's off, that's skewed just enough.
You mean
So
this tale about Mahunahi being the head of the courtium that had actually taken over the whole of the site of the Wingmakers and rewritten the story is to be trusted? He says it's not to be trusted because he's the head of courtiums, and just like the Greys, whom humanity shouldn't trust, the courtiums are worse with the exchange of technologies for trafficking humans.
you know what, and I'm going to tell you something out of experience. When Peter, it's interesting because I brought up that Peter had passed, or he was killed in one of his missions. I didn't know where to go, and I was really trying to focus and communicate, and it was actually the courtium that showed up, and they helped me.
Oh.
They helped us to bring back Peter. So
Oh.
are they bad, or are they neutral? Are they, because I've asked Peter about that as well, because I could describe them. They were amazing, kind of some kind of outer garment that was so intricately made, almost like a metallic, what do they call? You remember they used to wear, like in the Middle Ages, those metallic kind of coat of mail, I think they called it. You know, it was like metallic kind of shielding.
Yeah.
Their whole body, it almost looked like a computer detailing. It was absolutely fascinating. They actually helped us to get Peter back, and you know, I'll just tell you from my experience. So there's partial truths here. There's partial inaccuracies. Now, let me just step back again, and I want you to help you to think about this. See, Peter and I, we're not working for like the 3-letter organizations, you know, like the CIA or anything like that. It is a known fact that these organizations will deliberately kind of get people slightly off the path just so they don't get 100% the information, so they're not revealing everything, so they don't compromise their missions and the things that they're doing, right?
See.
The
Oh, you know,
ACIO
I'm so tired of disinformations and these psyops and control
it's
of
a lot, there's a lot of it. There's so much of it, Crystal, but it's not all nefarious. So if it's going to put, say, a nation at risk, they have to do it. We're talking military. The fact, if you understand military, and this is a problem, a lot of people, you know, they're idealistic, or they want to give people what they want to hear. That's not necessarily good either. You want to know what the truth is. The truth is not always going to be pleasant. If you are, say that you're running the nation, you're the president of the United States, right? So we'll say, Crystal, you're the president of the United States. This is going on, that's going on. How much do you want the public to know? That will compromise your military.
Yeah.
So you understand where they're coming from. I don't fault some governments from withholding certain pieces of information. So we always have to look at information, especially someone that's coming in from a military aspect, that they're going to tell you what they want you to hear. There's going to be a piece of it that's not going to be told. And then if they're there to derail people, say that they're even saying that they're from one nation, but they're actually working for, like, they're a double agent for another nation, they're going to have another slant on it that puts people into a different mindset, a different agenda. So simultaneously, we're hearing Zelensky's good, Putin's bad, Putin's good, Zelensky's bad. You're hearing this back and forth, and you're like, well, which one is it?
Yeah.
Who's the one that's at fault here?
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
And what actually is their agenda? It's so murky, you don't really know, right?
know. Oh, we have a question here in chat. We have Metis Bro who's asking, Jessica, is there any more news about the giant portal 12D Pleiadians created? Peter said.
The giant portal in London?
No, not in London. He just said it's created. Well, I don't know. He didn't mention. Metis, speak up. Could you speak up to ask your question with Jessica? You are here. Unmute yourself, unless you don't have a microphone.
There was another one in New York City too.
Okay. It's a 12D, 12 dimension Pleiadian portal.
Yeah.
You said that in one of your shows, I guess.
They've done it so many times.
It was one of the ACIO show that Peter said that 12D Pleiadians, they created giant portal. It is so huge that it can swallow the whole galaxy. And there was no more news about that. I was wondering if there is any development about it.
Yeah, they're constantly doing different things like that, and then the ACIO will try to close those portals. I'm pretty sure that from the way you described, it sounds like the one over in CERN in Switzerland. And them opening up and accessing and using that space for their experimentation, also to bring in other realities or merge realities or bleed throughs and other things that are literally putting our reality at risk. So does that sound like what he was talking about?
No, there was no any specific location.
Yeah, to my knowledge, it was probably that region in particular, because CERN is literally, think about it, they're creating this sucking motion. They're pulling from space and time space, and then pulling things together that don't belong and throwing off everything, where it could catapult us into who knows, because it's never been done. No one's been stupid enough to do something like this to our reality. And they're convincing people that it's under the guise of experimentation. So that's, from my knowledge and understanding, that's where one of the core areas that they caused it. There was also a very strange portal that expanded London. Not, maybe you don't see it physically, but there was a weird expansion. And I did see that there is an underground in London too.
Oh, which part of London?
London, yeah.
Which part? Central London?
Underneath the city, I guess there's an underground.
Mm-hmm.
There's a place where people are going.
There's an underground underneath the Big Ben.
Through the rail area, the rail station. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that they were creating anomalies there. They're doing experimentations in a lot of different places. It's their quantum experimentation. Wow. That is creating these very, very strange anomalies, and why we have weird chaos and people are in places that they shouldn't be. Some of these people, I've worked with Peter directly. There are people that come and try to talk to Peter, have a discussion, and I'm usually there with him. And he's, both of us will look, we'll say, where is he from? Or where is she from? They're from another reality. How did they get there? They ask us, how did we get here? We don't even know, because they're jumping through some of these portals. Their literal consciousness is coming and showing up over here. It's very, very strange. And this is all due to scientists who feel that they have the right to experiment recklessly, but they're being guided by the 12D Pleiadians. The 12D Pleiadians are manipulating their thought of what they can possibly accomplish. Of course, they know what the outcome is.
Jessica, our second speaker, Dr. John Scott Perez, is here already. But on that note, right, I just wanted to ask this question because we have scientists, brilliant scientists like Dr. John Scott Perez, developing on gene splicing, replicating chromosomes, what you call that? Editing genes and all that. So does it mean that that slowly, the ACIO, the governance, the galactic governance is allowing the planet to have access to the masses to have access to the advanced technologies that the elite has been enjoying for eons of time and we're not allowed privy to? It's not fair.
The ACIO 100% agrees to humanity having free energy and anything that is helping the planet. And we've had discussions about that.
Yeah.
So there is absolutely no opposition coming from us. It is the elite that want to have sole ownership and also to have, complete control of where they can take money from people and to continue to amass their wealth. So if there's free energy, then we don't need fossil fuels and all these other things that we have to pay for. So that's the powers that be that we're fighting.
Yeah,
we're all fighting.
We are hoping that you release some some information and some blueprints or whatever, so we can do the work for humanity.
I do have some people that might provide some information. So down the road, we can do that.
We will speak.
Yes, you're the perfect person to go to for that. And
thank you.
And I want to say,
golden hearts here, people who just take out money from their own pockets for years and years. Yes. This whole team here at FESIG, it's all self-funded by all the members here. And we have been at it for 8 years now, Jessica. So it just shows how truly dedicated we are. And we are not even taking money from anyone. We're not asking for subscriptions or payment of any kind. We just do, and we work. And we have meetings like almost every other day, on our R&D teams and all that, trying our level best to come up with something good. Yeah. So if we get some help. Yeah.
Remember, I said you should join me on my show so I can share more about what you're doing. I really like
I'm a bit shy. I'm publicity shy.
Oh, no.
The work that we do here, right, is kind of like we got to keep a low profile, considering how many times we had to do some memorial services in our channel, Jessica.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So. Well, your next guest sounds like it's a perfect complement to what I was talking about earlier. And if he has any knowledge in quantum space, it might be helpful.
Because I'm really a scientist. Free energy as well. Yeah. If
he has any knowledge and explain what the damage of CERN could be, that might help the audience a little bit more.
We have nuclear scientists as well speaking at this platform, Jessica. We got a lot to share. Actually, I was onto something when I was saying John Scott Perez is doing this gene editing and all that. So does it mean that, John, you're here, you can hear me, you can chip into the conversation? Does it mean that in the very near future we are allowed to have freedom of diseases and illnesses and away with the aging stuff, because originally humanity is not aging, it's just all this experimentation putting us in a petri dish and the poisoning of our food chain and
depopulation.
The depopulation agenda. So Dr. Scott Perez, you can chip in and into this conversation. What say you? Are you going to come up with something that's going to save us?
Well, I think when you knock down the walls to the rigged system that you've been entrapped in and you start using these technologies for good, absolutely you're going to see cures. We're seeing that now. I mean, obviously I'm trained in quantum mechanics at the PhD level and the bachelor level. So I've used these technologies myself in laboratories. I mean, it's a part of the practice of the art. But the respect of understanding the beauty of how plants were engineered and the meticulous architect and engineering of some of those molecules that were made before the animals, understanding that they were made for the animals to cure the animals of some of the anomalies that we experience, like on our planet where we are, we have boundaries, right? We have gravity boundaries, we have electromagnetic radiation from the sun, okay, and then we have water boundaries and atmospheric. So respecting that, but understanding it, and not taking those molecules and then trying to make a derivative of them to toggle their functionality so that you could then sell that as a drug and make money in a rigged system, and it doesn't work the same, doesn't cure you. That is it's like defamation of the original engineers. So the beauty of the original engineers, when you look at, you know, what's going on in 3 space, X, Y, and Z, and the physics of that, and then understand physical chemistry, because that's going to come first, right? You're going to understand the thermodynamics, you're going to understand the electrostatic, electrical, electromagnetic, all the interactions, okay? The technologies that you're talking about, all right, are beyond atoms and particles, right? What controls the particles? What are the other dimensions? How does that pair up with my metaphysical and spiritual respect for the dimensions, my consciousness, and all of those things? How do those things play a role? Because, you know, some of the cures are amplified by your own consciousness, by your metaphysical interaction, right? Right? Meditation, respect, and those things, not negativity, positive interaction with the universe. So I hope that sheds some light on my thoughts. I live and die by what I say. I mean, I feel the energy of the plants themselves and what their purpose is, and it helps me, you know, not just in the beings that I try to think of, beings that are my friends and family and things like that, and think positive when you're sick. I just spent last week in a hospital with my mother. She fractured her lower spine, L1, L2. She's 80 years old. And so, you know, when you try to have a positive attitude, I mean, try to influence her with a positive attitude when it comes to healing and wholeness and all those things, because if you're just negative the whole way through, it's going to be a bigger challenge, I think. So, but yes, absolutely. So genetics, I mean, we're talking about codes that, you know, we're not talking about 32-bit or 64-bit computer solving. You're not solving DNA codes with those 64-bit computers. It's not happening. So understanding how to control the entire operating system and every facet of it is a lot more than I'm going to have a balanced diet and I'm going to, you know, maybe drink from a rigged tap water system. You know, what are you going to do there? What is your nourishment? What is your game plan? What are the codes in you as a being that maybe are defective? They were given to you at birth. So,
all right, Dr. Scott Perez, I'm going to stop you there because Jessica is in a rush and she was asking to be first speaker because she has another meeting coming up. So we won't steal your thunder here on her session. So we will make you talk on the next session.
Oh, okay. You're going to make me sit here and wait?
We're going to make you talk in the next session soon, right? So
okay,
over to you, Chris, our co-chair.
Thank you. Basically, giving our guest a chance here, we were looking at the possibility of this soul hijacking, and then the public in the last year is actually being seen some of these stand-ins or these duplicates or these clones or these ones that aren't exactly the same as the original. Do you think this is probably coming to a head real soon? And I'm going to let it go with that question. Thank you.
Yeah, if I don't mind. By the way, that was a great explanation by John. Thank you
Yeah.
for, I don't mind that you jumped in. I appreciate you being here.
Mhm.
But yeah, to answer that question regarding souls getting hijacked, this is a very long process. It doesn't happen overnight. I mean, a person has to have a specific type of lifestyle, has to have depths of, like whether it's depression, kind of in a process where they're already starting to leave the body. Sometimes it's trauma, sometimes it's some kind of accident, or an illness where you literally, it's like when you sleep, you step out of the body. When you are in a some kind of like trauma, so you loss of a parent at a young age, you start to step out of the body. You don't want to be here as much. People that sleep a lot, they have different types of problems like that. People with substance abuse problems. When you drink and you get drunk, you leave the body. When you do drugs, you leave the body. When you do ayahuasca, which everyone thinks is wonderful, you leave the body. This is a danger point where you leave the vessel unattended, and then you start to get what we call like attachments, right? So you get these attachments, suddenly, there becomes a takeover. Children that are violated at a young age get taken over. It's a very upsetting thing. I can't stand looking at it. I understand. Sometimes then a good one comes in to take the place because the other one doesn't know how to deal with whatever's happening. So one walk-in might not be necessarily bad, might be an okay being, and actually does something good. But sometimes they are very bad, and that's where you see the elite. Are the elite human anymore? I don't believe so. As soon as someone makes that a soul contract, I'm selling out to be famous. Peter and I talk about that. Your soul will never see that fame because all you're signing off is to say, all right, someone's going to take over my body. They get to use my body to become famous, but they never let you really become famous. Your soul is then extracted. As you see that there's this upper level or hierarchy that's able to take the soul, or we allow that to happen. And that's why you have to help people when they're in that state of trauma and need. And that's why these MyLab and everything else like that happen.
I need to interject, Jessica, about extracting the soul and hijacking the soul. Isn't that a terribly serious violation? I mean,
Yes.
without the consent of the person who houses the soul originally.
Well, what I was explaining is sometimes people do that to themselves. We don't have enough education with people that they shouldn't abandon themselves that far. Some people go too far out of their body for too long. If you learn anything about shamanism, and I'm not a shaman, but there are people that do, they'll even tell you, if you're going to step out of the body to go and do your travel, make sure you're back at this amount of time. So you're leaving a vacancy.
I'm talking about the SSP and the other programs that you're talking about, that the ETs.
You mean for the 20 and back? That's a different thing. And also the MyLabbing is also different as well. But the MyLabbing is related to usually sexual violations or something that happens at an early age where they start fracturing the soul. So we have to really separate it. It's different. One is, I resign, I don't want to be here anymore. That group, first group, they step up. Second one is a young child that is completely violated, and that is a complete violation against the laws of the earth. And then they fracture that child, and then all of this happens. They're not supposed to be doing any of that. And then those children are taken. And then there's the SSP. The SSP are a group of soldiers that have been soldiers for hundreds of years, if not thousands. They're already soldiers. They recognize their soul at a certain age, then they're taken 20 and back, but they're not necessarily MyLabbed heavily. It's not like that. Maybe like the military training or whatever. So there's different elements to look at, different processes in different situations.
Like they took your soul, they took your consciousness and put it into another altar.
They did, which is a violation, is why I'm able to give them a hard time. as well. So even though they don't identify me as a super soldier, I'm able to make their life a little miserable at times. And that's why I go public.
Mhm. So what does the Council of Five do about that?
They communicate with me and help me.
Mhm.
So this is not just an Earth situation, as I say, this is a multi-complex situation. There are many players, and to further complicate things, they're interweaving other realities into our reality, which is assisted by facilities like CERN. Even though that they think that they're doing one thing, they're literally opening up the fabric of our reality and bringing in these other types of experiences here. And so people are getting displaced in different locations. They don't know what's going on. We're having time-space anomalies everywhere. Mandela effect didn't happen until after these experimentations.
Mhm. Right. I don't want to take too much of Dr. John Scott Perez session. Yeah, time. And thank you so much, Jessica. Is there anything else, Fres, that you want to bring up before we close this first session?
This looks like a really good place to wrap this one up. And any last comments between the two of you, I think would be great. So I'm going to step back.
Is there anything that you want to say, leave to the audience before we close this session, Jessica?
Yes, I just want to say that this is some of these questions, I could just try to, say it's this or that. I really want people to understand it's really, really important, because with knowledge is power. The more we understand, the more we'll be able to deal with what's happening. People can wrap their heads around it. I understand that people are victims. I want people to be empowered and not to feel like they're helpless. If they had me when I was 5 years old, I understand how it feels. Let's change things.
Yes.
And we can do that together. So thank
Well
you.
said.
Thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much, dear Jessica, sister. Thank you so much, all who are helping put together this session, and the energy that we've got from all of you here who are attending. Thank you so much indeed. So there being no other business, this first session of Physics 123rd meeting is now adjourned to the second session, where Dr. John Scott Perez will be continuing with his talk from the last meeting. Thank you. Namaste, brothers and sisters. Stop recording.